Hey everybody, Shawn Dill here at a Quest 7 Mastermind, and we were reviewing recently how to make great decisions when it comes to your business. So many people get paralyzed, and I know you like to say like, oh, I'm an analytic or I'm a perfectionist, and that may not actually be true. Watch this little piece here, and we're gonna help you to get better at making great decisions with your business. When making your decisions then, I think that there's a couple of things, a couple steps to kind of walk through. Number one is this a good idea? So I have something that comes up, is this a good idea? One of the things that, again, I want to just put into your consciousness, you all need, because most of you are solopreneurs, and if you are like Nate and you're very futuristic, you come up with ideas, but you are the originator and the judge of the idea. Therefore, you think all of your ideas are great. It just makes sense, right? You came up with it. So all of you need to think, do I have a filtering system to judge the quality of the ideas before I take action on them? Like, hey, is this a good idea? Because if I came up with the idea, of course I think it's great. I talk a lot about how Tristan is very visionary, and I think that the majority of the ideas are a bad idea. If we acted on all of Tristan's ideas, I think we would be in several lawsuits by now.
In jail.
So you need to say, like, listen, the ideas get generated, but then how do we vet the ideas? I think that is super important. That's number one. Is this actually a good idea? Does this make sense? Number two, does it help me achieve an existing goal? And very important word, existing. Does it help me to achieve an existing goal? That's one of the things for me, if you come to me, and I've talked about this in the JV world, when we get approached and they're like, hey, Shawn, you guys should help sell this course on how to make a transistor radio. And if you help me out, I'll give you 70% of the sales and you can make tons of money. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not really what we're focused on right now. We've been blessed. We make a ton of money. Selling your transistor radio, that doesn't really help. Yeah, but you can make, and you can see people doing this to you a lot in a lot of other realms, maybe not JV. You talk to each other and you're like, if you did this, oh man, you would make a ton of money. Like, yeah, but did I have that goal? Got into conflict with people by telling them you did not have that goal. Somebody else sold you their dream. Like, that's actually one of the worst things, right? I'm just gonna be here and somebody's telling me like, hey dude, you could become a DO in 6 months and then you could prescribe drugs. Yeah, but that wasn't my goal. Yeah, but then you could work for me and I'll send you all this business. Imagine how much money you'd make. And then you buy into their dream and now you become a piece or a cog in their wheel versus you're actually then pursuing your own goals that you came up with for your life in conjunction, hopefully, with your significant other. Number three, how much capital will I need to make this go? I think people severely underestimate this part because you have to think about it. Like, all right, well, how much capital would I need? How much is that podcast placements? $1,500 a month. All right, and this is where super important. All right, well, I'm willing to try it for 3 months. So I would need to have $4,500 set aside, available to lose, ready to lose it all, and get 0 placements, at which time I'd think, damn, this sucks, and I would stop doing it, right? Those are the 3 questions of, how do I know it's working? What do you need from me to make it work? What do we do if it's not working? Those have to be answered inside of that section there. I need to figure out, how do I know it's working? Well, you know it's working because we keep placing you on 5 podcasts every single month. Okay, well, what do you need from me? Okay, well, you're gonna have to have time in your schedule to be on 5 podcasts. I couldn't possibly be on 5 podcasts. Well, then don't do this. This doesn't make any sense, right? If you're like, yeah, I could totally be on 5 podcasts. That would be great. I would then add, hey, and also you should probably take the 5 podcasts that you're getting and have a strategy to amplify the content, because you're just relying on Joe to promote your podcast, but you'll have the podcast and now you get to blast this all over social media. All of your community starts saying like, man, why are they keep booking Brandon on all these podcasts? He must be like super popular or famous or something, because I keep seeing him on all these things. Not because they're seeing him on their things, they're seeing him on his thing, and he's telling them he's on everybody else's shows, right? That's how that would go. And then what do we do if it's not? So you say to yourself, I'm going to do this for 3 months, and if I'm not getting my 5 bookings, I'm going to quit.
I was saying that's super standard. We give pretty much everything 90 days. Like that for us is our time frame, unless somebody from the very beginning says it's going to take 6 months to work. So if they're transparent and they're like, you have to give this 6 months, we will. But if not, in our mind, the 90-day mark is when we will essentially let somebody go if we're not meeting those markers. Yeah.
Number 4, what people do I need in order to create leverage to make this idea or decision or thing work? Do I have the right people? It could be on staff, right? So we could be like, hey, we could bring this new idea to your business. You sign up with Steve Giannopoulos and read it, and you make tons of money. Oh, I always wanted to do supplements, but I didn't want to do the supplements in office. This is perfect for me. Yeah, but you're going to need 6 staff members. Oh. Well, and that's not true. I'm just saying hypothetically, right? Like I need to know, like what, a lot of you make decisions and you don't have the human resource infrastructure. Part of it could be too, like when I said, what do you need from me? I need you to be available for these podcasts. Then I would say, well, then I'm going to need to involve Pat in on this because he's going to have to do the scheduling, and I'd go to Pat and be like, hey, is this going to work for us? Because now this is going to be on you, because you're going to court. So I have to make sure that, do I have the right people? If I don't have the right people, then that would go into my relationship goals. I could simply say, like, this is a great idea. I could totally do this, but I need to meet some more people. Next one, number 5. How long will this take? So Lacey said 90 days on a test, but some of your ideas might be even a longer run. I get people, I have a current client now that they contacted me and they're like, I want to take my current office that has one office and I want to turn it into a franchise. I was like, right, that will take a little bit of time. And we ain't do that tomorrow. Like, oh, I do, yeah, just poof, now there's a franchise. I was like, has anybody ever said like, I want to buy into that model? And they were like, no. I was like, right, so there's a lot of steps for us to get from A to Z, and we need to be conscious of that, because if your expectation is this is a 90-day run, well, you're going to be severely disappointed. So that might mean being realistic. It also might mean asking other people. Hey, have you ever done this? How long does that take? Hey, if I launch this, that's probably happens a lot in social media. I launch this, we'll probably have like, phone will be ringing off the hook by Monday. Like, is that how long it takes, or does it take longer, or like all of those things? Like, what are my expectations on time? Do you have something to add there? Number 6, what are the risks and sacrifices? Something too very, very important. Risks. Number 1 risk, it doesn't work. But then going through the risks, that's a great question. I am very programmed to ask this question. I don't hear you guys asking it a lot, and not of me. I'm not saying to ask it of me. I'm probably not the one managing your risk. I'm not the risk manager. But for lawyers, number 1 question. Number 1, you should always ask your lawyer. Every single time you're talking to your lawyer, what's the worst thing that could happen here? Give me the worst case scenario.
And then figure out how to do it.
Yeah, usually the worst case scenario is jail.
Yeah.
You mess this up, you end up going to jail. Okay, high stakes. And I don't think that you guys really fully understand that in navigating this. Like, have you run scenarios in your mind? Have you run those down? Have you thought like, okay, oh, it could be some pretty big risk. Like, I don't know. And then how am I mitigating? Because it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to create an awareness, right? It's meant to protect you. It's meant to promote you into doing things the right way. So many people never calculate risk before they do anything. Like, that has to be big. The second one is sacrifice, right? So going to LA on 5 days notice on a red eye was a sacrifice. We had to move calls, and because it was a lot of work to make that happen. And then I have to say, is that worth it? Because like, we don't want to do vanity things. Just, we'll do all this dumb things, and then at the end we don't. It didn't promote the goal.
I was gonna say, we have a big goal. We tell you guys all the time that your goal should always be to double it. And so we have a big goal of doubling our revenue, which we're really close to this year. But we had to decide if the sacrifice was worth it. To double where we were at to where we're trying to go was a big jump. And we keep telling ourselves, we're going to travel less next year. We're going to travel less next year. Well, we don't have an open weekend till
October. No, it's not October.
I think it's in October. Not even an open weekend to do anything. And so for us, we had to look at that sacrifice and say, like, are we willing to run that hard at this to double those goals as fast as possible? So we're always analyzing those things, and that's how we make decisions on, well, is October going to get full? Probably, if we're still going hard after the goal, right?
Yeah. So and then the last thing is the last question to ask yourself is, are all of those things worth it? Going back to number one, is this a good idea? Yes, but here are the relationships that we're missing. Here's the money that we would have to either put into this or find. Here's how long this will take, and here's the risks that you're going to assume, and here are the sacrifices that will need to be made in order to do this. Hey, I hope you found great value in that video. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and make sure that you turn on notifications so that you will know when we release new content, and especially our weekly Money Mondays. You're gonna wanna know when we go live, where we're talking about all of the things that can impact your business on a weekly basis and breaking them down and giving you actionable advice so you can continue to grow. We want you to reach more people, make an even bigger impact, and create the lifestyle that you deserve.